I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. Hey, what's up, world? Welcome to this special edition of I Mix What I Like live for members initially and Patreon patrons initially. Again, I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. We're doing a special Saturday night live edition of Not By Myself. And oh, yeah. I appreciate that. So I didn't want to waste the outfit. It's literally my only jacket. And we were out tonight. My oldest daughter was doing her thing in ballet. So we were at the ballet tonight. So this is me getting dressed up. That's right. Happy birthday to Paul Robeson. Of course, that's really why I'm doing it. But I figured since I was sort of rushing back and that we would, why waste the outfit? Plus, I feel like it's going to get a little messy tonight anyway. So, here's to everybody, especially those not driving. Good to see you. Anyway, so just real quick, the reason I'm doing this now is because a number of different scheduling things happening, and in a week from this coming Monday on the 11th, I'll be out of town. So we'll let this go live that morning for the show I Mix What I Like for that edition of I Mix What I Like on that Monday. But this way we get a chance for members to get another little perk. A shout out to our appreciation for your membership and support. Patrons at Patreon will get this video just shortly after, later tonight or early tomorrow morning. So they'll also get a bit of a head start, and then of course it'll go live on the 11th. Yeah. So what we've been doing. So what I had put out the request, and it's been responded to. Shout out to the neighborhood dogs. Saturday night for them too. On our Discord, link in the show description, I've asked in the channel for Not By Myself. Again, big shout out to Unmasking Imperialism and Brother Ramiro for inspiring this segment or this version of I Mix What I Like, so to speak. But I asked for people, because I didn't want to do all the picking. And if I could avoid it, do any of the video picking. So we got some selections. I've put a playlist together, and we can start going through them. Some of them are kind of long, so we'll see how we go tonight, and how you all feel about how much of this we want to watch. And I guess to those who have made it in here live, if any of you can reach out to folks and invite them to join you, please do. But the privilege, I guess, of being in the chat tonight is that you get to influence how much of this we actually get into, because some of them get a little long. But anyway, that said, all the other things, like, share, subscribe, join, support the merchandise that's expanding at blackpowermedia.org. Get you a nice mug. And, do all of the things. All right, so let's get into video number one and see what the good folks at Discord have. And again, I have not watched them. So I don't know what any of this is.
But because nobody can question it, nobody can prove it. You can't prove faith. You can't prove any of these things. It's like, why am I believing this?
Is there a particular belief that you want to chat about?
As far as like religion?
Could be.
Okay.
Really anything.
Yeah, I can talk about. I mean, my background is Christianity. I was raised Southern Baptist. I don't necessarily believe in all the doctrine that the Bible teaches. Sometimes I feel like the Bible truly limits us and our expression. I believe like people talk about the glory and the splendor and the wonder of God. How can it be just confined to just 66 books?
Yeah.
I think I try to experience God on a more spiritual level. And I believe in spirituality more than anything. That's really what guides who I am and the way I think and believe. I believe that there is something that is been working on my behalf in this universe. Because
Something that's working on your behalf.
it's like something that's guiding me, because I can't fully take credit for everything that's happened good in my life.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some of what could be said to be guiding you are the material forces and the context impacting you. That might be one thing. Just a quick thought as I'm watching this. But I don't think we should discount that. I don't think everything has to be immaterial. Anyway, by the way, this was suggested again by Skeptical Mantis, who is dominating so far, although there are others on this one. The suggestions in the not by myself. But anyway, here we go.
Sometimes it's the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's luck or whatever. So how do you explain those things? You know, people say, you know, it's God, and I do believe that, but I don't believe, you know, as far as like the doctrine and like, you know, Old Testament and like you know, that stuff just like, it's just so limiting and it's so like stifling, and you feel like you can't live, you can't do anything. And I feel like a lot of it's outdated. It doesn't really apply to the world we live in today.
Okay. So yeah, I'd love to explore your reasons why you believe a God exists at all.
Yeah.
First, got to get a sense of your confidence that a God exists. Say on a scale from 1 to 10.
10 for sure.
10. Gotcha. And you mentioned before something about how to explain good things happening. Is that like the main reason why, or is there another main reason?
I just look at my life and what my experiences. The things that can't be explained, the things that are not tangible, the things that are just kind of like out there, and the energies. I believe God is responsible for all of those things. It doesn't have to be good, or it could be bad too. You know, it could be like, you know, unexpected death or anything. I believe that there's something out there that's in control of all of it.
So again, this is his name apparently is Dominique, and Optimism, Faith, God is the title here. Why am I believing this? Street Epistemology, I think, is the channel. Yeah. Oh, Cordial Curiosity. Oh, sorry. I guess it is all right here. My bad. I thought I couldn't scroll up. Okay. Dominic believes in the Christian God. The belief allows him to be optimistic, as well as a way to have a good sense of morals. Although diving down into the reasons for his belief, he questions what is really true and wonders what evidence he has for it. What I like about this part is that, again, borrowing from a professor I had years ago with whom I disagreed on everything, except one point that he would always come back to, where he would always say we have to interrogate our preferences. So in my classes, I'm always saying, you know, simplifying that even by saying we just have to keep asking, how do we know what we know, and why do we like what we like? And I even assign those as final exam questions every semester, just as an open-ended thought experiment to see how it changes over the course of the semester. So I like that part of it. But anyway, so Cordial Curiosity is the channel. Street Epistemology with Dominique.
Of all of those things, not necessarily all the good things. I believe God is in control of the good and the bad.
Okay, so would you say this is mostly accurate, like personal experiences that can't be explained?
Yeah.
Okay, and part of that is like God had something to do with these experiences?
Yes, absolutely.
God had something to do with them.
Yeah, I would never have something happen and be like, I'm gonna take full credit for that, because the capabilities I have, that's God-given. Who I am, my substance, my essence, that's all things that's been given to me since I was a child, since before I was a child. So how to explain even the way you are, your personality, you know, like it's just, it's hard to explain, but I just feel like there's a reason behind it, I believe, and I'll just accredit it to God and his workings. And
you attribute it to the God, these experiences.
Yeah.
All right. And I'd love to understand how you concluded that this is true, that God had something to do with this.
I mean, you know, like I said, background being in Christianity,
Well, there it is.
You
That's
know,
it.
I'm not sure how we all came to be today, like whether it's Adam and Eve and all that stuff.
I mean, right or
guess
wrong, I ask all the time, what is the likelihood that a Muslim would come out of a Christian household, or a Jew come out of a Muslim household, or an atheist come out of a staunch, an aggressively religious of any faith family? Not that none of these things can happen, but the likelihood is pretty small. So, I mean,
some of that stuff this lacks factual and lacks logic, and I just don't try to get into that. I know that I'm a human being. I know that I'm a spiritual being. I know that I have capable of good and bad. I know that there's something in me that aspires a life greater than myself, as far as like my drive, my motivation, my ambition. Those things are like, where do we get those things from?
Where do we get our drive and motivation?
Where do we get those things that we like passion
Oh, yeah.
and like things that we care about?
I know it's increasing, but out of an aggressively religious household, okay,
some
maybe.
people being more extroverted, introverted. Like, what is those? Who gives us those things?
Yeah,
I didn't like select those things. Like, oh, I want to. This is
Yeah.
the kind of person I want to be.
So all these questions about like how we came to be, how do we get these motivations
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm not saying this is the case, but if someone could explain to us both that this stuff could happen without a God at all, would that change your confidence about the God existing?
I would be interested to hear that.
Okay.
I'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a lot of like how you were raised in your upbringing and like society kind of shapes that. But I believe in like your inner self.
Your inner self.
We're all every single person is very unique. Like no one's like someone before them. No one's gonna be like something after them. So like that's why I feel like we all are very authentically made and designed. So how can you explain that? Like no fingerprint, like nobody's the same. No two people are like, even twins are very different. Triplets are very different. So
so if there was an explanation without the God being
I'd be open.
You'd be open, and if you were convinced.
So the host is about to
those
drop
explanations were
something, right?
good,
I feel like he's
would
setting
that
us up
change your
to
confidence
drop
about
some
this?
of his
I don't know if
science,
it changes my
right?
confidence. It'll give me a more well-rounded point of view. I mean, I'm very strong in what I believe. I think what we believe really, like you said, guides us. That's a very strong thing. But I'm open-minded. I like to hear things. I like to understand more. I would never say I would probably not sway from what I believe, but it just gives me a different perspective.
Okay. So if that, like, I'm trying to understand what would change your confidence at all. Is there a reason that you have that, if found to be not reliable, would change your confidence?
The whole afterlife aspect kind of makes me a little insecure about it, because I don't know. No one knows what happens after we all die. The heaven and hell theory and stuff like that. That's kind of like where I get insecure, because it's like, okay, what's the whole point? Like the things you do in Christianity, believe like the things you do on earth in like your 75, 80-year life can condemn you to a permanent life of like burning. I was just like, I don't know, like you just burn forever. I just like, what's the point of life? What is the point? And then like heaven, and then like this euphoric utopian society forever. I don't know about those things. I just know like what we're here to do now, like our lives and like us in on this earth. I think there's purpose and reasoning for that. The afterlife theory is what Christianity, that's where I get insecure, like, because it's like heaven or hell, and it's like I don't think it's about that.
So if you were somehow convinced that we don't survive our deaths at all, would that change your confidence about God existing?
That'd be interesting to hear about. Are you? I mean, I know this is my interview, but are you?
I'm looking for reliable ways to come to a belief like this. I would say I'm very much lower on that scale, but I'm trying to find out reliable ways.
Okay. Are you just more like you want like factual things, or you want like more like? Are you just seeking truth?
I'm seeking truth. Whatever is true.
Okay.
And I want reliable ways.
Okay.
Currently, I would think facts and evidence
Right.
are a very solid way to come to beliefs.
Okay.
Is there any evidence or facts for this belief?
It's faith.
Faith.
Oh man, this is definitely, I need to be
It's
doing
the
this with
faith
other
element.
people.
Are like,
This is
just
painful.
Just have faith, just hope, just believe. But faith can carry you a long way.
Okay.
Faith is really the basis of this religion.
Faith.
You have to just believe.
Okay. Just believe.
Believe in something that you can't see or that's not tangible.
Okay. Is this way of coming to this belief reliable?
It is, because it makes you become an optimist. I mean, even when bad things happen, you just kind of believe. You see things as good, all things as good, even the things that happen that are misfortunate. You can take the good out of every situation, so it keeps you always connect it to something like your morale is always high. You know, if like there's a death, I was like, okay, it was their time. You know, it was their time to go. Like we can see the good in it.
I should have made sure
Even though
Skeptical
death is a
Mantis
sad
could
thing,
be
you
here
know.
for
So
this one.
faith kind of allows you to live on a more upper echelon way of thinking and living and operating versus being depressed and like getting down into like a lower state. So it really
Gotcha.
encourages high morality.
Gotcha. So you're saying living a faith-based like life
Yeah.
let you be more optimistic, more
Yes.
positive, and
Yes.
have a really good moral life
Yeah.
as well.
I believe so. I
All right.
believe so.
Um,
Faith is a powerful thing because it's all about belief.
Gotcha. Is it possible for someone to not use this way of coming to beliefs in general, yet be positive and optimistic and stuff?
Yeah, that's very true. But
Yeah.
I would ask that person, what's the reasoning behind it? Why are they? You know, what
Yeah.
if you're just upbeat and positive? What's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah. What's a reason someone could give for that?
I don't know. I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Just because they're just I don't know, a happy person, outgoing person. I don't know.
Like, what's the second best way to have
8.7%
optimism and living
alcohol.
life positively without this belief?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
What do you think?
Well, in terms of like being optimistic, going back to facts and evidence, you know,
Yeah.
like good things have happened in the past. So could good things happen in the future?
Okay.
Maybe.
But do you believe that we are just living a very I would like to believe that our time on this earth and like what we're doing here in our space here has meaning behind it. Do you believe that there's no meaning behind? Because I feel like
Yeah. Meaning
it's
is
just
very,
like we're just going through the motions, and there's no meaning to life. There's no meaning to anything that we do.
yeah. How do you think someone without this belief could get meaning in life?
Because I just feel like I don't know if you believe. First of all, within yourself, you believe in your capabilities. That there's nothing wrong with that. You believe that all things happen for good, and there's nothing really wrong with that. It doesn't have to be God. It's just if that's just your way of thinking. I think in all essence, it's a great way to approach life. But me being fundamentally Christian, I believe God gives me that
God gives you the
the oxygen to do
meaning.
that.
Okay. But is this true?
A lot of people believe it.
Does the amount of people who believe something?
It doesn't.
relate?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. But what's true?
Good question. How can we come to true
What is
beliefs?
true? That's a great What is true? Truth is relative.
Truth is relative.
Yeah. Because I'm sure there's a lot of Muslim believers that believe Allah is and Buddhists and stuff like that. But I believe the truth behind it, there's a one truth, and we're all navigating our own way to that path.
We're all navigating some truth.
To the same truth. There's just different sifters to that, like different religions, different denominations that are all leading to one truth. Because Buddhists aren't bad people. Some of the scriptures that that I've looked over, even Muslims, some of the books of the Bible and the Quran.
So just quickly, Skeptical Mantis in his Discord or their Discord posts, forgive me, their Discord post, says street epistemology is a method of popular education to help people think deeper. I don't know that I'm getting that in this conversation.
The same as the Holy Bible or the New Testament. So it's like, what's the truth behind it? How did it get so switched up and so?
Did you call backboard?
Like in so
I
many
called
different directions.
game.
Like there's something. There was a foundation. There was a start, and I would love to find that out. But
yeah, I value truth. I want to believe as many true things as possible, but also as few false things as possible. So I'm for whatever beliefs I hold, I'd like to understand what I could learn or find out to change my confidence about that. So that's how I kind of go about beliefs.
Okay, so you are a truth seeker.
Yeah.
You look at facts. Yeah. You read. You're researching, and then the way you intake the information, that's kind of going to shape.
Yeah, and if there's nothing I could learn or find out to lower my confidence about a belief, that belief seems to be at risk of being untrue, or I'm at risk of believing something that might be untrue. So I need my beliefs to be able to be shown to be false. They need that quality. It doesn't mean they're not true, but they need to be able to be shown that they could be not true.
For you to believe in it.
To have confidence that, to just to have them, for them to have any value.
So that's an interesting perspective. So you believe that? Wow, I've never ever heard that before. You believe that what you believe in, if it can be challenged, that's not true. That makes you feel more confident in it.
Yeah, because beliefs that can't be shown to be false could be any belief.
That's very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you just can't, right?
Yeah.
Because you can challenge and question God. That's okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering, how could we know if this belief was false?
I don't think there's no way to know, man.
There's no way to know.
So that makes you less confident in it.
It makes it not valuable for me. And the benefits I get from it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So he's
That's
just
a good
basically, I mean, that's
perspective.
science.
I'd like to believe it
is
if
what
it's
he's saying.
Right, but
Yeah.
because nobody can question it, nobody can prove
Yeah.
it. You can't prove faith. You can't prove any of these things. It's like, why am I believing this? You may be onto something, man.
Yeah. So
That's powerful stuff,
yeah.
man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just stuff to think about, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. That's really enlightening. I never thought about it like that, because that's how people feel about Christianity and like religion in general. It's like, you can just never question, why am I just going to succumb to this religion?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you could have gotten. I mean,
like,
with
Jesus
this
Christ and like all this stuff. Like,
don't
did he
know.
live, and like, did he really walk? I mean, Noah, is that a real thing?
Yeah. Before I derive any benefits from a belief, I want to make sure it's true first.
Yeah. Like us right now here this is truth. This is like facts. Like, I'm here right now. I'm present.
Yeah, we have ways to verify this situation, I think. Yeah, hopefully.
But what you're saying is the fact that we cannot question some of our beliefs makes it hard. That is something I'm going to take with me. That's now you're shaking me up a little bit.
Okay.
See? Now you're shaking me up.
Would you say 10 out of 10 is the most accurate spot for you
Ooh,
right now?
it might have dropped a little bit. Not because I'm like, but it's I like that too. I like to think outside. I like to think about those kind of things, because it does quite like, okay, I believe because I was raised and I was molded and shaped into believing this my whole life.
Yeah.
But what evidence do I really have? I can look at like my life as like the good things that happen, the blessings I get, quote unquote. But what evidence do I have that this person is really operating through me?
Yeah.
And I guess until you have some experience, you will never know.
Yeah, well, stuff to think about. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you so much, man. What's your name?
Reed.
I'm gonna check you out. What's your YouTube channel?
Cordial Curiosity.
Cordial Curiosity.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Like, even if I might have a particular bias for science and atheism, or I don't know, some critical assessment of spirituality or religion, that doesn't move it for me. Because what about anyway? Because you have people who could you have religious scholars and experts in their beliefs that could answer those questions about why science or fact in the way that science needs it to be verified is not necessary, and even in some cases antithetical to the purpose or the cause of the belief system. So I mean, it's not, I don't know, that wasn't moving to me at all. These kinds of things, like when my man R.M. Brown does his segments on Crowder, that white dude Crowder, the conservative, he rolls up on people and does the whole prove me wrong thing. It's just you're picking soft targets. I don't know, that didn't move it. That didn't move me very much at all. All right, let's move on, because this one, oh boy, oof. This one, yeah, R.M. Brown is hilarious. I got to give him that. Yeah, Steven Crowder. And the only reason I know about Crowder and so many of these other characters is from R.M. Brown's show. And again, it's the only way I could handle watching it there. But all right, I got to dig up where did I get this one sent. Andrew Young on icons like Malcolm X and Dr. King sitting down on Revolt TV, perhaps aptly named, with Killer Mike.
Tonight on Love and Respect, a conversation with civil rights icon Andrew Young.
Just because you're good and decent and want to be righteous doesn't mean that you don't really have a pot boiling inside you. And you want to, you might want to do something.
Now this is 20 minutes long, so I'm open
There's a streak of violence
in
just about everybody.
Yeah.
The important thing is to realize that
but
that's not where your strength is.
Yes, sir.
Your strength is in your mind, in the love and forgiveness and respect that's in your heart.
Come from the Discord. So
I mean, that's where the power is. You can overcome more people with love and respect.
Yes, sir.
Than you can cussing and shouting and calling them all kinds of names.
Ambassador Andrew Young coming up right now.
But they said Dr. King raised his voice at Andy Young when he said, the problem with you, Andy, is you're a capitalist and I'm not.
I want to welcome my friend, my mentor, my hero, Ambassador Andrew Young, to Love and Respect.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. You are a civil rights icon, former director of Southern Christian Leadership Conference. You are a United Nations ambassador. And I personally have Atlanta mayor, my favorite mayor thus far. And I know you was first acknowledging your wife, Carolyn, but your late wife, Jean Charles Young, was also a friend and mentor of mine, and I belong to an organization.
Well, that's where I met you.
That's where we met.
She brought you to my office.
I was 15 years old. You want to tell the story?
Yeah, no.
Let's also not forget that Andy Young brought $40 million via JP Morgan, Bank of America, and a couple of other major players to that Greenwood initiative, bank initiative. So let's not forget that he also brought 40 million
Jean,
of Wall Street
my first
money
wife of 40
to that
years.
he brought 40 million of white Wall
cancer.
Street money to the Black Wall Street project.
Was the advisor to the Mayor's Youth Council with Alice Johnson.
Yeah.
And she said, we want to come see you with a few of the young people. And I said, fine. And I said, what do they want? She said, they'll tell you. And you came in and you asked me said you wanted to have a conference. And I said, well, that's easy. Said, no, but we don't want to have a conference where people are telling us what to do. We want to have a conference with young people and let us decide for ourselves what we want to do.
Yeah.
We arranged for you to have that for Saturday morning.
Yes, sir.
Till about 3 o'clock, I think.
Yes.
You had one kid that had just gotten out of jail.
Yeah.
And I forget his name, but I'll never forget him. And he wanted to lead the discussion on world hunger.
God. Let me tell you something real quick. Let me tell you something that I'm more clear about having hit 50 than ever. Appeals to the youth for their input and advice as to where we should be going is nonsense. And it's a hustle when these folks do that. No properly functioning society would go to its teenagers and ask them to determine the path the society should go in. And they know it. So they do these things to make young people feel good and feel like they're participating, but it's such a hustle.
And I couldn't see the connection.
Anyway.
But when I got in there, immediately he said he'd just gotten out of prison, and he said what he was in for. And I don't remember, but he said, I was there, and I said, Ethiopian famine came on television. And I saw all of these people
There's
with
no rate of return on that,
stomachs full and flies around their face and out in the night, no place to stay, hot, too hot in the day and too cold at night. And he said, and I realized that I had messed up. And I had a bed and 3 meals a day, even in jail. I was living better than they were, and I had done wrong and they had done no wrong. And he said, I decided when I get out, I wanted to do something about world hunger. Well, I was so impressed. Before you all finished that day, you had decided that you were going to raise money for the Ethiopian famine.
Yes, sir.
And the way he decided to do it was by putting canisters in the banks.
Yep.
So people say, why do folk rob banks? Because that's where the money is. But if you want to raise money, that's where the money is. And so nobody touched any money. But everybody
It's
could
wrong,
contribute.
bro.
And the banks created an account. And I don't know how you got the banks to comply, but I think you had pretty good participation with all the banks.
Yeah.
Raised over $100,000.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
And had a parade down Peachtree to end world hunger. Yeah. And then
I mean, listen, but hold on though. I mean, listen to how silly that is. He's praising cats for getting out of prison in the United States, saying that the first thing they're going to do is tackle world hunger by putting canisters at banks. You're the head of this and the mayor of that and the former this and got JP Morgan that and all them gold mine ties to the Bush family and East Africa, all that stuff. You got all of that, but of course that's your solution because there's no interest in getting rid of hunger.
Deciding who was it that had the best record of getting money and food to hungry people.
Directly to them and not just paying staff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you decided it was UNICEF.
Yeah.
Well, I had just left the UN. So I knew them. They were tickled to death to have this happen. And I don't know whether you took the money to them or sent it to them.
I think we sent. I think we sent it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the money went straight to Ethiopia.
Yeah.
That was the first. Of course, you were almost as big as you are now. And you were just 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not
And
good.
I said,
that's not healthy.
This kid's going to amount to something.
Appreciate it.
And they had made a good investment in you, but you made a good investment in the other young people. You had over 500 students there.
I appreciate you at that time. And you have before then, because the 90s were turbulent time. We were in the middle of the crack era and a drug war. Gangs had kind of influenced Atlanta in a way.
Well, that was still the 80s.
Yeah, it was 89, 90. Yep, right. Yeah. It got a little worse in the 90s, but it was the late 80s. But you guys, you grew up in very turbulent times. Yet, since my grandmother first took me out to campaign for you as a child, you've always exuded this spirit of peace about you. And you named your memoir An Easy Burden. You always had a calm like you. Were you always this calm and easygoing? Because amongst the characters around Dr. King, you were known as the guy that kind of kept his wits about.
Well, I was probably the smallest one.
Okay.
And I was one of the younger ones.
Gotcha.
But I had always been, I grew up in New Orleans and I grew up in the middle of a block. Mm-hmm. On one corner was an Irish grocery store. Another corner was an Italian bar. The third corner was the Nazi Party headquarters. This was 1932 when I was born. And I can remember 1936, my daddy walking by there because it was right in the middle of, it was right on the corner. And my aunt lived 2 doors behind the Nazi Party. And see, Hitler was just coming on the scene then. Yeah. And my father took me to the segregated movie to see Jesse Owens.
Is this where you sit up top and the white patrons are at the bottom?
Black folks sat on the balcony.
Yes, sir.
White folks sat at the top, at the bottom. But we all saw the same movie, and I wasn't particular about. It didn't bother me.
Yeah,
that was I accepted that then. And but when Jesse Owens won the 100-meter dash, Hitler was supposed to give him his Olympic medal.
Yeah,
and instead of doing that, he got up angry and walked out.
My grandfather tells me this story. What happened?
And took all of his stormtroopers with him. See, and that was an insult to Jesse Owens, but that wasn't Jesse's problem. He said Jesse's problem, he had 3 more races.
Where did this question start?
And if he'd gotten upset over what Hitler did on that first race, he might not have been as sharp. and say Hitler stormed out angry, but Jesse stayed cool.
Yeah.
And he just won 3 more gold medals.
All right.
You talked about keeping your cool, and you are an ordained minister, devout Christian, and oftentimes, so when you're speaking to people, as I've heard you grow up, much like the Messiah, much like Jesus, you don't use religion to try to convince people. You are
Andy Young is
a
Jesus
persuader, it seems like, in ways. You kind of meet people where they are and talk to them versus kind of standing on the mountaintop,
Well,
pointing down.
one of the things that the Bible says
Right,
is
so how did
all
we
men
end up
sin
in-
and fall short of
in-
the glory of God.
Yes, sir.
And women do too.
I have twice.
I add that
a day usually.
But I never see myself as better than anybody else. I know the struggles I have to be reasonable and halfway calm and intelligent. It's something I've been practicing, as I said, since I was 4 years old.
Yeah. I want to table that because I want to talk a little bit about the characters of people around you. But before we get to that, 2 people who they always juxtapose to one another. You knew both of them. And one was Martin King, of course, Martin Luther King Jr., and the other one was Malcolm X. You knew Malcolm, you told me, from you were in
I met Malcolm before
Martin, right?
I met Martin.
Okay.
I went to a little country church in Marion, Alabama, then Thomasville and Beachton, Georgia. And then they offered me a job in New York.
Uh-huh.
And my secretary in that National Council of Churches, they didn't have any Black executives, and they wanted a Black executive, and they made me associate director of the Department of Youth Work.
Yes, sir.
And I had a television show on CBS, 10 o'clock in the morning, Look Up and Live. We won Emmys and we won a Peabody Award.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was just about 25.
In your being there, in your ministering there, and then you're having television shows, you come across this guy from the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X.
Well,
What was your first thoughts on him?
my secretary was married to Louis Lomax. Louis Lomax was interviewing Malcolm. That was the show that made Malcolm famous. But it did Malcolm a disservice.
How so?
Well, they titled it The Hate That Hate Produced. And I never saw Malcolm hate anybody. Malcolm was one of the sweetest, calmest, easygoing men I've ever met. He had no temper.
Yeah.
He spoke with authority like Martin Luther King did.
Yes.
And you would think it was a prophet from the top of Mount Olympus somewhere. But around a dinner table,
but what about his politics,
Louis
Andy?
and B, his wife, invited me and Jean over to dinner. He kept asking me questions about the South. And see, he had been in jail.
Yes.
And he didn't have an opportunity to go to one of these HBCUs.
Yeah.
But I admired him because he taught himself by reading the dictionary.
Yes.
See? And he was constantly inquisitive. I didn't get to talk to him much because he was trying to pick my brain about everything. See? And we were working with young people, and I'd been to Africa, I'd been to Europe, and I'd been down south was what he was mostly interested in. But he kept asking me questions. And I just thought he was one of the gentlest souls I've ever met.
Yeah.
Later on, when Martin King won the Nobel Prize, Malcolm came to the back door at the Armory to meet him. And there were 2 people back there to meet him, Governor Rockefeller, and Malcolm X. Well, Martin went off with Malcolm X.
Wow.
And Malcolm said to him, I just wanted to come and congratulate you, and I want you to know I'm totally in support of everything you do. He said, but I just think that it's best for me not to be seen with you. Yeah. He said, because if they don't deal with you, they might think twice because they don't know what I mean. They don't know me.
Yes, sir.
And they might rather deal with you than deal with me. And so he wouldn't even come into the meeting.
Wow.
But Governor Rockefeller came in.
It's amazing that they understood that they're fighting for the same purpose, maybe on different paths, provided leverage for one another. Because
Well, it really wasn't on different.
My bad. I'm saying no. That's wrong. They were headed on the same paths. And part of what Andy Young is leaving out, at least so far, we'll come back to it, is that they had, my bad, y'all. My bad. I'm coming back to it. They had, they had agreed through intermediaries. The name is slipping my mind right now, but they had a lawyer in common that they were that they would work together. Ever again, King radicalizing towards Malcolm, not the other way around. But it was a tactical split because of the merging of the political paths. They were not on different paths. This is allowing for Andy Young and Killer Mike to put Dr. King back into that falsely liberal bag that will make both of these two gentlemen seem more acceptable in what they're saying today, because neither of them are on the paths that King was on, as we've talked about with King chastising Andy Young, and then are a much infinitely less lower level. Me saying the same thing to Killer Mike.
Different paths,
Yeah.
because I think they were very much alike in terms of their
Yes.
spirits.
Yes, sir.
The only time Martin got loud was on a platform. The only time Malcolm
You're
got
right.
loud
Yes,
was
he
on the
was-
platform.
Right,
So
bro.
speaking
You're right.
around
Thank
the
you for
dinner table,
correction.
he talked just above a whisper.
Wow.
Now, Elijah Muhammad had that same kind of calm about him.
Yes, sir.
In fact, anybody that's spiritual, has to kind of calm themselves down, because just because you're good and decent and want to be righteous doesn't mean that you don't really have a pot boiling inside you.
Yeah.
And you want to, you might want to do something rash and violent.
Everybody's on
There's
the
a
same
streak of
comedic note.
violence in just about everybody.
Yeah.
The important thing is to realize that that's not where your strength is.
Yes, sir.
Your strength is in your mind, in the love and forgiveness and respect that's in your heart.
Absolutely.
See, I mean, that's where the power is. You can overcome more people with love and respect
Yes, sir.
than you can cussing and shouting and calling them all kinds of names.
Again, nothing about their politics.
There are a few names that I know you were right next to, because now we argue over which leaders. Like we argue over Malcolm and Martin when I was a kid. People argue. So it's very refreshing to hear you say how similar in spirit, because you knew both of them.
Similar in
when a lot of
spirit.
times we're just arguing ideology.
Not politics.
But these are people you actually knew. And I just like to say
Well,
their name.
people caricatured them, and they wanted to make Martin one thing and Malcolm another.
Yeah.
They probably were much closer as brothers. And Martin he wouldn't get mad, but
Brothers, not
I think
politically
some
though,
of his speeches are far more militant than anything Malcolm said.
Yeah.
The speech that he gave at Riverside Church
Okay.
against the war in Vietnam,
Okay, Andy.
where he faced up to the fact that he was ashamed, but that America was the most violent force on the face of the earth.
I'm gonna name a few other names. Just give me a few words on them. People that some have known and some have grown around. Ralph David Abernathy.
Ralph Abernathy was the one who was responsible for Martin Luther King.
So that was his home. That was his side. That was his.
Well, yeah, because Martin was 25 when he went to Montgomery.
Yeah, because he was only 16 when he got in Morehouse, right?
Yeah.
Young man.
And he went to Montgomery because he wanted to be calm. He wanted to be quiet. And he felt that Dexter Avenue was the most conservative Baptist church in the town, in the South. And he figured I won't get in any trouble here.
Okay.
He said if I stay in Atlanta, they'll try to push me into politics or something. And I don't want that. I want to be a good preacher.
Gotcha.
And he finished his PhD dissertation, mailed it to Boston University, and 2 weeks later, Rosa Parks sat down in the bus. And he wasn't even thinking about leading the movement.
Yeah.
He was in the back of the church running a mimeograph machine, making handbills. They voted him in
I think this
without
is all
him
good
asking.
stuff, actually.
And
Right here.
fortunately for us, Coretta was expecting and she couldn't be there. And she got the choir director from Next Avenue to tape record his speech. Now, it was about 7 o'clock at night, maybe later, that they elected him for an 8 o'clock meeting. And he's 25 years old. This was in December. He didn't turn 26 till the 15th of January. And he didn't have any time to make any notes or, write a speech. And what preachers do, the only thing you can do when you get caught like that is go to the bathroom and lock the door. and that's where you can be calm and get your thoughts together. But
I mean, there's been a lot of
if you ever
rumors
read
about
that
him
speech
plagiarizing his dissertation.
that he made
My only point
in
on it is
Montgomery,
that that's not why he was assassinated.
it had
So-
all of the seeds of everything else he did. And it was one of his best speeches that he had to give with no preparation time and no notes, no manuscript. But it was a testimony to what he had learned at Morehouse and at Boston University. And it was what God had put in his heart. And that's the reason I say that leadership is God-given and
But this
God-ordained.
still, man, all this about
And
not one word about their
They couldn't have put
politics.
anybody else in that spot who would have done what he did.
So looking at him, because he's
From
looked at now
25 to 39, he didn't make 40.
14 years of
Yeah.
changing the course of American history and
Of the
reluctant
world.
leadership. Yeah, and reluctant leadership.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in reluctant leadership. Like
Well, I am too.
yeah,
Because anybody that's willing to put the head on a chopping block is crazy. And he said that to us one time, and it's one of the things that keeps me going.
Yes, sir.
He said, we have to be clinically insane to think that this crazy bunch of young Negroes can save this nation. He said, we probably won't make it till we're 40. He said, but if we make it to 40, past 40, we're going to have to struggle to 100 because it's not ever going to be easy.
Yes, sir.
And
So what happened?
I think that's one of the things that kind of makes me try to keep going because
You're doing King's work.
he didn't
that's
make it to
clear. If
40.
you don't mention his politics,
and
you
I
can
did,
claim that.
and
Yeah.
knocking on the door 90.
Yeah.
And
Looking 70. You look great.
I can't think that all of the things I've been through are in vain.
Yes, sir.
Everything that has happened to me was for some purpose.
Yeah.
See? And I think that the fact that I had an Irish grocery store, an Italian bar, a Nazi party, and a Chevrolet dealership where I was born, I was destined to be an ambassador, though I didn't know what an ambassador
Wow.
was.
Yes.
But I had to negotiate my way to get my ass kicked to get to the grocery store. See? And I learned to be nice. I learned that if you showed fear, you were in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you were aggressively polite and nice to everybody, you got respect.
Wow.
Next time on Love and Respect.
So wow. So him making it to ambassador. Do you all remember that? I wish I could find that. When Al Sharpton was at a cigar bar in downtown New York on MSNBC one day talking about how him being able to be in that cigar bar was what the civil rights struggle was fought for. Do you all remember that? That's what that right there just reminded me of. So continuing King's work is becoming an ambassador. Damn, good God, that is deep. That's deep. Woo. All right. That's yeah. Not one word about their politics, though. Aggressively polite. What that means is the problem with you, Andy, is you're a capitalist and I'm not. That's what that means. All right, good people. We got a lot more to get to. I hope everybody's comfortable. I don't know how much time. Woo. We might. I don't know. There are a couple others on here. We just might not be able to get to all of them today. There's one that I would definitely want to get to. It's a shorter one, but I'm gonna save that one because I actually have watched that one. But this one right here, I have not watched, and is about 20 some odd minutes. Right on, Sugar Booger. But let's get to this one right here, and I'll pull up in a second who sent it, who shared it with us. Now I've actually seen this sister's work, but I didn't pay attention enough. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just get into this right here. Why I don't relate to my skin color. Kidology. This video is entirely. We got timestamps. This is entirely my opinion about my experiences. Please be considerate in the comment section down below. Thank you for your time, engagement, and support. I appreciate and adore you all. Why I'm bitter, defining tribalism. All right, well, so these brothers here, I do watch Abba and Preach a little bit. Two Africans in Canada, comedians, got a big time channel, and it looks like she's starting there.
Racial lines or wrong ethnic lines.
Hold on, let me get back to the beginning.
I know this for a fact. When shit generally hits the fan, if you're not super well integrated to that community to the point where you guys are symbiotic, listen, tribalism kicks in like this.
Real quick.
Tribalism kicks in like this.
Real quick.
Along family lines, along racial lines, along ethnic lines, along nationality lines. Who's a refugee, who's not. Even the way that they talk about these refugees, they're like, well, these refugees are different. They look like us, they sound like us, so we can accept them. Like the news coverage has been creepy like that.
Yeah.
So
if this shit happens in Quebec, you think the English people are not gonna go back of the bus?
Yeah.
This is Quebecer town right here.
yeah.
Salutations and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kidology and I make videos about everything and anything to do with modern society. So today we're going to talk about something a bit more personal because I know some of you like my more personal, chatty, story time genre of video. And it's also something that relaxes me and is quite therapeutic. So I thought, why not? Especially as I have just gotten soaked by the rain outside and I need something to warm and cheer me up. So none of this is scripted, so do bear with me. But I thought it would be quite interesting to talk about tribalism and about tribes in general, because I think when I moved to the United Kingdom from my original native country, South Africa, I was under the illusion that I would leave tribalism behind, that I was moving into a progressive, multicultural, and also individual-minded context and part of the world where what I had grown up with.
I will say this. There is, again, my experience mostly either in activist organizations and primarily even most recently in the academic or the classroom setting, my own classrooms. Continental Africans, diasporan folks, period. Or I should say people born and raised outside of the United States, period, who come here are often misguided as to what they think is going on here. So I'm a little bit not surprised because that propaganda is international, and again, we and intentionally so. And remember, Zbigniew Brzezinski in the Grand Chessboard, one of the things he pointed out about the internet was this is what will make the United States survive as an empire, unlike other empires of the past. The internet is largely in English. And they are able to push, and this is in the late 90s. So by now, it is no wonder people growing up elsewhere are getting a version of the United States that has or even Europe, if she went to Europe, has that has little to do with reality. Anyway,
would no
and
longer
the fact that she's an English
sort of
speaker probably
define
makes it
who I
worse,
was.
makes her more
And
susceptible.
boy, was I wrong. So for a bit of historical context,
Yeah, you
especially
were
for those
wrong.
of you who don't know, I am originally from South Africa. I was born in South Africa and I lived there until I was 16 years old, at which time I was given a day's notice and informed that I was moving to the United Kingdom to live with a new guardian. And a consequence of that was that I had to very hastily and suddenly and without warning leave the boarding school that I had been living at for the past 2 and a bit years, and I came to the UK with no plan. I hadn't been accepted into any school. I was out of school for months when I got here. No school would accept me.
So this is horrible, but this is like a class.
And I think what was most weird about it is that at least at first, when I moved to the UK, I realized that I wasn't homesick. What I was sick for was my boarding school. The social worker who was taking care of me, in a sense, would ask me what was wrong, why I refused to, for instance, get new clothes, why I refused to unpack everything that I had bought in my case. Well, for me at least, it was because I wanted
My bad. Is this like upper class, upper middle class trauma? Because this doesn't sound untraumatic, but it does sound like there's some class. Anyway, I don't
go back to my boarding school. And I think the reason why I wasn't homesick is because of my experience with my tribe. I'm not necessarily sure about South Africa right now, as I have regrettably never gone home since moving to the UK. I haven't left the UK at all, but at least when I was growing up in South Africa, tribes were significant and were very, very important, particularly where I lived, in which I basically lived in the home province of my tribe. I am a member of the Zulu, or the isiZulu tribe, the largest tribe in Southern Africa, a tribe which came to power in the 1800s behind the incredibly destructive but also great and magnificent battle and strategic and ethnographic changes made by King Shaka Zulu. My relationship with the Zulus is a very bitter one, at least from my end. It is one that I don't, at least now, blame the Zulu nation for, because I am coming to terms with and do understand the significance of tribalism and what it means to people and how it gives people meaning. And I believe that at this point in my life, when I see somebody being a part of a tribe, whether that be an actual ethnic tribe people, and how it gives people meaning.
I don't believe tribalism has any viable social competitors capable of eradicating its influence completely. Okay. Just want to make sure I understand.
And I believe that at this point in my life, when I see somebody being a part of a tribe, whether that be an actual ethnic tribe like the Zulu Kingdom, or a tribe such as your university that you have their merch for and you support them when they go up against other universities at sports games or what have you, I think that's very important. And I think that that is incredibly meaningful, to the point that it's more meaningful than even the individual when it comes to actually giving people a sense of purpose. And I say this because I think I'm an example of what happens when that is absent. I think that that just ends in a lot of bitterness and also a lot of ambiguity in terms of knowing where you stand in the world and in relation to other people, and especially in relation to other people who look like you. But when you're looking at each other, you don't see sort of yourself. You don't see a mirror image of you in them. You don't feel that sense of togetherness, that sense of pride, that sense of sort of knowing something that outsiders don't know, if you get what I mean. For those of you who don't know, when I was a child, I was born to a mother who didn't want me. I don't think she could have. She was, a drug addict, prostitute, all those sorts of things.
God.
And so I obviously was not planned. I wasn't wanted. So I sort of came into the world not being wanted, was immediately abandoned, was immediately put into foster care, was immediately sort of stripped away from my, I guess, heritage in a way, from my language and from
So
my
I take back my question about class.
influences, which I think very much informs sort of the person that I am today.
That's a lot of sharing. Oof.
I'm not entirely sure why, actually, but I do feel guilty about it. But whenever I sort of very subconsciously and without much thought walk past the mirror or look in the mirror,
right?
I get a bit of a shock because I realize that I'm
Whose fault
black.
is this?
And this may sound absolutely bizarre. I know. When I say it out loud, it sounds incredibly bizarre. But even when I sort of imagine my life and project myself into my future, or even sort of project myself back into the past, looking at memories, the good and the bad, what have you, I always imagine.
Well, I should just say here, this is a suggestion from Dead Man Animations saying that this one hurt my soul. So perhaps I should have started with that. I apologize for not doing that, but yeah. Woof.
Imagine a little white girl or a grown white woman. And I do think that this has a lot to do with how I grew up. I think the most profound thing that has very much influenced this image of myself, which I have in my mind of being a white individual, is to do with the fact that when I was fostered and adopted and then, well, due to circumstances, fostered again, I was only raised by white South Africans, is that I only spoke English and Afrikaans. I never spoke my native language. I never learnt or spoke Zulu. And a huge component and part of my life growing up was that whenever I encountered somebody who was black, they would inevitably speak to me in Zulu. And I think this is where I guess I put a bit of blame on myself. Well, definitely I put blame on myself. I didn't even try. I didn't even try to learn the basics of just saying, hello, how are you in Zulu, even when I was at an age where it was perfectly easy for me to do so, to just go out, find another little black kid somewhere and say, look, teach me how to say the basics, just so that life can be easier for me and for others, so that I can show respect to other people. I didn't even do that. I definitely had this complex in which I perceived myself to be white. And as a consequence of perceiving myself to be white, why would I learn Zulu? Why would I even try the basics when I speak perfect English and I'm cultivating perfect English, when I speak Afrikaans and enough Afrikaans that I can have a pretty meaningful conversation? And so whenever somebody would come to me, which would happen all the time, especially because I was always the single black person with white people, namely white adults who were raising me and trying to turn me into, the perfect little protege of what a black person potentially could be if they, have the right Christian upbringing. I would always be approached by Zulu people who would come to me and say the typical "Sabona, unjani," or, something along those lines. And my response would always be, I'm sorry, I don't speak Zulu.
Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
And this caused a lot of issues.
Zulu.
The interactions
language,
would either end in them continuing to talk to me in Zulu, because obviously I was disrespecting them. I knew that it was disrespectful. It was definitely not the approach that ought to have been taken. But nonetheless, I took that path. Still to this day, it's quite an interesting phenomena that I would, for instance, be, let's say, at a corner store with one of the white women who was raising me at the time, let's say, and I was just with her. And because this was just a sight to behold and just a very odd sight, somebody would come up to me and say something to me in Zulu. And I would say, I'm sorry, I don't speak Zulu. I only speak English or Afrikaans. And at least as little as 5 minutes later, every single person who was in this environment would know that I didn't speak Zulu and would know that I had been the disrespectful one who had not responded to an elder in Zulu who had spoken disrespectfully and who only spoke English and who was holding the hand of a white woman. And I mean, obviously, the white woman who I was with wouldn't even acknowledge the existence of the Zulus around. So, she would just go on her merry way. And I think it was inevitably because the dynamic was so strange, in which I would find that the Black people, the Zulu people in the situation, in every situation, had such respect for the white person who was my guardian or my adopted parent. Such respect, because there was just this ingrained notion that white people are superior to Black people. And, it was just obvious, like, to everyone. But in my mind, I was also white. And I, therefore, expected the same kind of respect. But obviously, in their eyes, I was a little Black girl who was like nothing.
So
right?
But this is not about, this is about
really messed up a lot of these social expectations that we all had. And because my white guardians obviously didn't understand what was.
So this feels more like about what happens. It seems less about tribalism than what happens when the child of one tribe is raised by another hostile, dominant tribe that doesn't even recognize the humanity in that other person's tribal heritage. This is really rough. I don't know
what's going on, because in their eyes, I was like them. I mean, they saw that I was Black, but I was their little thing that they had been raising as a white child. It therefore didn't make sense to them, and they didn't really see it, if that makes sense. I remember so many instances. I remember once I was at a dinner. I was obviously the only Black person there, and everybody else was white. In South Africa, housekeepers or maids are all Black. You'll never see a white maid or a white gardener or garden boy in South Africa. It's very, very much divided on socioeconomic in relation to and equating to racial lines. So I was at this dinner, and
wait a second.
Gosh,
what did that say? I can't read fast enough.
And
this is moving too fast. Wait a second. Is she saying this? There's a South African sitcom called The Coconuts parodying this issue. A rich white family wakes up Black after violating the burial grounds of a Zulu tribe. The twist, their Black maid wakes up white. So hold on a second. So first of all, I have to say, all I'm hearing selfishly in this, all I'm hearing are parallels to all kinds of other diasporic experiences, including biraciality, mixed race, multiracial, et cetera, experiences here in the United States. I feel like there's all kinds of overlaps and parallels here. This is really rough. But is this, if all right, so just quickly. So the other day I did the interview with Dr. Indri Asi Lumumba, and she talked about a Professor Loxley Edmondson, who retired from Africana Center at Cornell. He was also, I loved being in his classes as well. And one of the things we had a class on the history of South Africa, and he gave us this book to read called, first of all, we read Winnie Mandela's autobiography, which was crazy powerful. But then he also had us reading his book by Patrick Bond called not Patrick Bond. I'm sorry, that's not the author. The book is titled, that's another white South African, actually a white progressive, if I remember correctly, radical even, South African writer. But Patrick something, Loosing the Bonds, I believe was the title of the book. And it was a comparison between, it started off at least as a comparison between the United States and South Africa in terms of the histories of race, apartheid versus Jim Crow, so on and so on and so on and so on. This strikes as another incredible parallel. So if the idea is, just as was the case here in the United States, we're going to nominally free people, nominally give them their civil rights, and then we're going to bombard them specifically in the late 60s and 70s with white written and targeted Black sitcoms to help mollify any potential rebelliousness among successive generations. That's what this looks like here. This is amazing. This is so anyway, sorry for that digression, but honestly, I just also needed a break from this trauma. But this is just, no wonder there has been no both improvement or revolution if this is the kind of, how much of this is going on. Oh my goodness. Anyway, sorry about that.
Divided on socioeconomic in relation to and equating to racial lines. So I was at this dinner and gosh, I can't believe I'm sharing this. Oh well. Everybody was served food, the first course of a meal. And I realized after everybody had been served their meal and had started eating that I had not been given food. And I think everybody at the table thought, what's happened? It's just, a delay in the kitchen or whatnot. But it very soon became apparent that actually the maid was not going to serve a Black child food. And at the time, I didn't understand this. But now I do understand this. And she outright refused to make me food until the white head of the table actually really went at her and scolded her for not serving me food. And then with a lot of begrudging anger, she served me food. But it was definitely something that humiliated her incredibly. And at the time, I definitely did not understand that. But now looking back, I do understand how peculiar and how disrespectful that was of a certain race already being so disrespected just in the general context of having to serve another race in the context of South Africa and apartheid and all that. So it was definitely something that I was always in contact with, that feeling of not being a part of my tribe. And because of that, I really hated my tribe. And the feeling was mutual. At school, I wasn't integrated with the Black students. They would realize that I didn't speak Zulu, especially the older students would then have conversations with me in Zulu, knowing that I didn't understand, but would just keep going and keep talking. And they knew that it was making me angry. They knew that it was making me hate them even more. And it really just got to a point where I had absolutely nothing in common and felt that I had nothing in common with my tribe. I had no sort of association. And I think to this day, I still definitely feel that I have no association. But then I look into a mirror and it sort of really stands out to me that, I am Zulu, like I look at my nose, I have a very, very typical Zulu nose, it's quite obvious that I'm Zulu. I think
so I see the question about Nasheed. That video is like 40 minutes long. I don't know if we got time for because we got 12 more minutes of this right here. If the vote is to keep going. Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up. This is actually too traumatic for the puns for me right now, man. That's anyway. Let me just let her get to her tribalism point. But I mean, my first, but I mean, obviously, the reason Zulus would, particularly vis-a-vis whites, fall into their quote unquote tribalism is because look at the history. Oh man. All right, here we go. My bad.
I think it's very important for people to feel like they're a part of a tribe and part of something in an authentic and genuine way. I can see how important tribes are to people, even if they are sort of very informal or quite new tribes or new kinds of tribes, such as communities on YouTube, such as aesthetics that people follow. It really gives a sense of purpose and direction that I don't think the state of existence,
as opposed to
which
what?
I find myself in, is capable of giving in quite the same way, in quite the same depth. The reason why I, for instance, missed my boarding school was because it was the first time in my life where I actually had a place. And it wasn't that I was a part of a tribe, but I was in quite an exceptional situation where I was the person who united two tribes. Let me explain. My boarding school was a very interesting place because it was about 60% black, 40% white. And it was a huge school, huge school. At my school, it was quite evenly divided between the two dominant races. And for the first time, it was very apparent to me that all the whites were with one another and all the blacks were with one another. But inevitably, being in boarding school, for the first time, blacks and white students had to live together and had to live in the same environment and had to somehow come together and relate to one another and make living together bearable and make it work. And I think because there wasn't that adult influence, it made this a lot easier for reconciliations to be made, not having the influence of parents, especially because a lot of parents, well, obviously grew up in apartheid, but also because it meant that we had to think for ourselves. And when there was something wrong, we had to come up with solutions. Because I was black on the outside, I fit in with the black cohort, the 60% black cohort. But I also spoke not just English, but white South African. I knew sort of their vibe, if we could put it in crude terms. And so whenever there was an issue, which there always was, I would sort of be the person, the go-between in a way, and also just quite a unifying force in a weird sort of way. I found that the black students were drawn to me because I was sort of a bit of a curiosity because I wasn't like them. And they also found themselves, in a way, trying to break from their parents, you know, just being a bit rebellious. We were young teenagers, 12 and 13 years old. So they wanted to defy their parents in a way, and they could because they were at boarding school without their parents. So they didn't speak, you know, traditional proper Zulu, but colloquial Zulu, which had a mixture of English and some Afrikaans. And so I was a lot more appealing to them than I was to their parents. And then also with the white students, I was also, for the majority of them, the first black person who they actually had something meaningful in common with, and the first black person who they actually touched, like hugged and were friends with. And so it was quite an exceptional situation that we all, I think, found ourselves in. And a consequence of that is that I was incredibly popular. And this popularity manifested itself in a very interesting way, not in the same way that you see sort of European and American popularity, which at least on film is stereotypically associated with being the prettiest and, you know, doing, I guess, I don't know. I think it has more to do with sort of like looks and sociability and everybody wanting to be like you. And I didn't find that that was the case. I definitely was not a looker. I wasn't the smartest, but I sort of had a lot of qualities that allowed me to be a good communicator. I was very good at changing for certain situations, very good at being sort of colloquially African, colloquially Black for certain people, and then being, you know, a fun, rebellious white South African for some, and then being a very proper white for others, and then being a bit, you know, Afrikaans for some. And it sort of really allowed me to just move very easily. And I also found that it helped that my teachers really liked me. And they really liked me, I think, mainly because I was very different, and a lot of them were white and hadn't really experienced teaching a Black student who spoke English like I did, or only spoke English, and it really helped. And so I guess in boarding school, that was the closest that I felt to being a part of a tribe. However, it was odd, and I would say that I didn't actually feel completely as if I was a part of something, because it became very obvious to me on a Friday when all of the predominantly white boarders would go home to their farms and their parents, that this wasn't, you know, a real sort of tribe and family. They had other affiliations, more tangible, more concrete tribes and bloodlines to be associated with. I think also a consequence of being the person who was, I would say, the most popular at my school was that I also was very lonely in a weird sort of way. I guess when you're friends with everyone, you're sort of in a way friends with no one, because there's nobody sort of significant who you can confide in, who you can be friends with exactly, because there's sort of a bit of you in and with everyone. And I remember at our breaks that I would go from group to group, effectively just checking in. And it was more like I was ticking off a list, making sure that I'd gone to every group, checked in with everyone, made sure that this person was okay from yesterday when they'd come to me crying about something, that sort of thing. And so I served a very agony sort of role,
There's
which
so many ways
I loved.
that I identify
But
with this
on
story.
reflection, it was very common for me to actually go from group to group during a lunch break and then find that I could just go off by myself and I wasn't missed. And I also didn't really know where to go. And so that was a weird place to be in as well. But it was definitely a preferable place to be in relative to where I'd been in primary school. And that had been, that's for another video. I don't know. I think I'm just thinking of tribes and tribalism a lot more because I see it a lot, especially in Europe. And I think especially with everything that is going on in Ukraine and the vision that Putin and so many Russian leaders before him have had of finding that all-encompassing Russian identity, even if it means destroying the identities of others in order to realize a vision of a greater Russia. I think it's just very present, and it's just very obvious during these times in which everybody, I think, in modern societies is very angry and very much grappling with the conflicting aspects of individualism on the one hand and being an individual, and also being a part of something bigger, namely a tribe. And some tribes are definitely perceived as more important than others in this day and age, and some are worthy of expression and identity and others are not. And I think this is causing a lot of problems and a lot of contention, especially as more firm and solid boundaries are being drawn between groups in order to reinforce their identity and their existence and authenticity. So it's an interesting time, even if it is a hard and unpleasant one. And I don't think it's necessarily going to go away. But I just thought I would give my little spiel about how I grew up with tribalism and my inability and also unwillingness to integrate or to actually be a part of my native tribe. It's like I've just been put into this illusion of being something which I'm not. But at the same time, when I look in the mirror and I see that something that I'm not, I'm also seeing something that I'm not. So there's just this disjoint, and it can be quite perplexing at times. And I do feel very detached from myself and also from other people. And I think because of that, it is quite difficult, because I sort of look at the people who I'm friends with, and all the people who I'm friends with are very European, or very, at least, influenced by British culture, by British influences, or by Eastern European or Canadian, etc. So it's just a very odd one to sort of navigate, and it's an odd one to sort of, I don't know, to grapple with, to find meaning from. Anyway, I don't know why I shared this exactly. I'd love to read about your
Anyway, look, where the parallels end is where she's gone to look for answers to her questions, and it feels like she's gone too far to the west for analysis and social circles, and I, but in all seriousness, I mean, I really do, like, there's a lot I happen to identify with in her story, and I just think that the answers that would solve a lot of contradictions and conflicts for her are found in the Black radical tradition, and I'm glad that was no, there can't be lawsuits. We you knew what this was going in. This is not by myself, where we get Discord suggestions to watch collectively. That's so. And since this next one is long, I'm going to get right to it. Let me pull this up here. Let's see. So back up from here. And I honestly, so I had just scrolled ahead to make sure this was a video and not just audio, but let's go. Here we go. Francis Cress Wilson, Dr. Clark, James Baldwin, Tariq messes with Baldwin. It's old.
6-0. If you want genuine Black conversation that's uncompromised, unfiltered, join 6zeros.net today.
Jay?
Yes.
I love 6 zeros. I'm so excited there's a site where we can finally talk about Black issues.
When's the last time you posted?
Well,
my live for the family. How y'all doing? Hold on one second. Let me get all this stuff together. Let me
What does that say? Foundational Black American Race Baiter?
Start putting this on social media. All right.
Let me just get us into the.
All right. Few things we're gonna get into on today's broadcast. Again, I didn't do the broadcast Sunday. I was at the New Edition concert. Shout out to them. Beautiful concert.
I bet it was dope. But why does he have his browser? What is this browser thing on his screen? It's messing with me.
New Edition, Jodeci, Charlie Wilson. Beautiful show, man. We had a great time. Me and my queen went. My wife went. If you saw my social media, you saw my wife out there stepping with that big old pregnant belly in her heels. My wife put on them heels on their ass.
Oh, it's literally, and if I'm not mistaken, he sued them. Or
the pregnant belly.
Wasn't there some sort of lawsuit between them and ADOS over FBA?
So Quoco Nisha enjoyed the concert,
and that's why he's created FBA.
On and popping. We had a great time. It was very very good to see all those beautiful Black people out there. The place we're at.
Nah, we disagree on this one,
Crypto.com
comrade.
Center,
New
which used
Edition
to
is
be the
always
Staples
cool.
Center, right? And it was jam-packed. So proud of the New Edition, man. These brothers been in the game. How long has the New Edition been out here? Like 40
All right, can I skip ahead a little bit? No
40-something
disrespect
years?
to New Edition, but
They
can we
came
get a
out and
little bit into the
Bobby's good. Bobby's doing his thing.
He's still
There's
doing
some young,
Bob.
fine breezies up in there.
Fine breezies, okay.
Kennedy. We're talking about understanding who we are and paying homage to who we are. We have a lot of non-FBA people coming to us talking about, well, damn it, y'all got to pay respect. Y'all still a part of Mama Africa. Y'all got to give it up for Mama Africa. I keep hearing this theme being regurgitated.
All right, so already, wait a second, already, because he just said it's non-foundational Black Americans saying we got to have respect for Mama Africa. So already, this is anti-historical, because a lot of that would have been coming from what he would call foundationally Black or foundational Black Americans, saying to pay respect to Mama Africa, including his intro has John Henrik Clark, Malcolm X. Who else was in that joint? Those two alone make what he just said anti-historical. All right, my bad. All right,
whenever we as foundational Black Americans are talking about what is supposed to come to us, people hop in our mentions with the Mama Africa talk. Like, for example, here we're talking about our Aboriginal connections here, and somebody from Somalia jumped in here. Africa never left me. I'm not currently in the motherland, brother Tariq, but Mama Africa is still within my bloodstream, all that old stuff.
And isn't Tariq Nasheed, where does Tariq as a name come from? Doesn't Tariq come from, anyway, is it, okay, anyway, is that not, all right, anyway, so, my bad, let me stopping it, we will never get through it.
All right. They talking all that. She's up here talking about this Mama Africa, Mama Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, Africa.
Oh, I saw Greg Carr.
We were having some issues with some of the conversations people were having about our nationality and our lineage. So this person here is all up in our mentions talking about Mama Africa. Then I pointed out, well, your ass ain't even in Mama Africa. You over here in baby USA.
By the way,
I pointed that out, and she gonna come back. Africa never left me. I'm currently not in the motherland, but Mama Africa's in my bloodstream. Oh, please.
Lever Action Radical for the suggestion.
See, people try to shame us with all of this. We're supposed to get some pride and identity from Mama Africa. Your ass ain't even over there. All right? You don't have enough pride in Mama Africa to stay there and build up Mama Africa. Your ass is over here with us. A lot of these folks keep doing that.
Wow.
And then want to call it a diaspora war. Ain't no diaspora war. Y'all over here trying to sell us on something that you ain't even buying.
Wow.
You're trying to sell us on something that you yourself
but he didn't pull up the Greg Carr. What was Carr's comment?
There's another one. All these people from the motherland keep coming in our mix. There's another person. Without Africa, the world wouldn't be where they are today. So there's nothing wrong with what she said. Educate yourself, Tariq, because you're behind. And I pointed out, your ass is over here in California by me. All right? All of these people talk all that Mama Africa and we better do this and Africa is this and that, and you ain't there.
Wow.
Y'all don't sell your BS good enough. You're not even over there trying to sell the soap to us, and you're not over there. You're doing everything you can to get the hell up out of Mama Africa.
Did he really? Nah.
Because foundational Black Americans are acknowledging and appreciating our lineage and our history, which is a very unique history.
Branding,
it's a very unique lineage.
That's why they
that other people don't have.
Believe that lawsuit or whatever.
They've been waiting and depending on us to carry
Did he have Robeson on there too?
Under the banner of Africa. Every achievement we have to attribute it to some African culture. And they've been depending on that. Now that we're saying, hey, the stuff that we do, this is something that's indicative of foundational Black American culture. Hey, don't say that now. Y'all still African now. Y'all got to give it up to Africa. Y'all got to. No, we're foundational Black American. We're genetically African, but most people on the planet are genetically African. We are foundational Black Americans. You dig? We are foundational Black Americans. And y'all not going to push the Mama Africa thing on me. And this is no disrespect to Africa whatsoever, but we are foundational Black Americans. We created a whole new culture. We have a whole new lineage. We have a whole new heritage.
Is he going to explain his conclusions here?
And we're not going to be shamed into not acknowledging that.
Does he ever explain?
Because
I don't know his
everybody
work
wants
that
to
well.
eat
Does
off
he
our
ever explain his conclusions,
That's why they
how he
want to
got
take
here?
credit for hip hop and all this stuff. No, none of y'all created hip hop except foundational Black Americans.
Hold up, that's factually incorrect. So he doesn't even. All right. So nah. No, I was about to say you in my wheelhouse, but no. But seriously, in all seriousness, that's factually incorrect. That's factually incorrect. So first of all, I want to ask again, if anybody knows if he ever in any place explains his conclusions about how foundational Black American culture is exclusive and original, I would like to hear that, because there is a clear academic or intellectual and not academic, but intellectual lineage that argues very differently. But on this, he doesn't even know his hip hop history. And that's very easy. As we're discussing in my World According to Hip Hop class at the Morgan State, I'm just playing, but no, it is the most diaspora cultural expression, certainly of popular cultural expressions, maybe the most diaspora cultural expression ever. Harlem, New York City, is the Pan-African Mecca. Herc from Jamaica. Come on, son. Come on, son. Slick Rick. The Rocksteady crew, the New York City Breakers, all of them are from all over. I mean, come on. That is crazy. That's not even hip hop, man. You got it. That's horrible. Anti-history.
None of you. Let's be very clear.
That's what I'm saying. He's excluded even the Americans.
Foundational Black Americans, we're talking about getting stuff for ourselves, for our group, and we're telling other people, hey, don't latch on to us. As we're trying to get our reparations popping from the colonizer and slavers, y'all need to be doing the same thing to the people, the Spanish and the British and the French, the people who colonized you. The people who enslaved you. That's who you need to. Y'all need to get some act right and do what we're doing.
Oh my God.
You need to holler at the people that colonize you. Don't sit here and try to get up under us.
My bad. So he knows, right? So he knows that the Berlin Conference occurred with the support of the United States, though they were not immediately involved in carving up and getting a territory. He knows that even the supposed decolonization efforts were also supported by the United States so that they could take advantage of areas that they couldn't previously get access to that were under the colonial rule of their competitors. So what is he talking about? Oh man, this is bad. Please tell me he's going to get into it and that there's some way he's got a better
our energy. And
defense of this
seems
conclusion.
like some of them are getting the message. This story just came out.
This is bad
right
timing
here.
right here, boy.
During the royal visit over there in Jamaica, the Jamaicans shunned the UK royal visit and they demanded slavery reparations. This came out this week. So now we're showing them how to get down. See, this is why they keep trying to dissipate our energy. The white supremacists, they want our energy dissipated because they understand.
Wait a minute. Wasn't and I understand the Haitians lost, but wasn't the argument over I'm happy to be checked on this, but isn't the first or one of the at least a previous argument over reparations the one that was fought between the Haitians and the French, which led to the French being repaired for having lost their colony? Come on, man. This is worse than I felt sorry for the sister. This is just bad history right here.
And we're going to light the fire up under everybody. They understand when we start stepping up and making demands, everybody else is going to follow suit. Now everybody else is getting like us now. You see? This is why they keep putting these Negroes out here to sow dissension among them.
And wouldn't it be, tactically speaking, isn't it better if others, quote unquote, follow suit? Isn't it better if everybody's calling for reparations to get reparations in wherever you want to get them from? Isn't that part of the Pan-African struggle tactically was arguing to make them weaker elsewhere, to get concessions somewhere else? Isn't that what? So why would you speak ill of this?
Among us.
Oh.
All right. This is why they keep doing that. And this is why they get the black intellectual
we haven't
class.
won anything, right?
So-called intellectual, the Boule intellectual class, the Democratic shills, and we've seen the Democratic shills just promoting this Ketanji Brown. They've been promoting her getting sworn in into the Supreme Court. They've been really trying to big that up. That's a big nothing burger. We ain't tripping on that.
We agree on that.
The black Democratic shills are running around talking about, oh, this is so historic. Oh,
we agree on that. I agree on that.
Black. The black grassroots, we're not tripping on no damn black Supreme Court justice. That means nothing because it doesn't benefit us as a group.
But he's right about that.
We are past just looking at the symbolic nonsense that doesn't benefit us as a group. It's just a Negro getting a damn job. We're not tripping on that at all. Yeah, caramel
You're
cuteness,
right.
dark deliciousness, chocolate charm, vanilla vitality. Shut up. We don't care.
Vanilla vitality.
But the Democratic shills are really, really trying to put extras on that. They're really trying to put extras on that woman getting nominated. Nobody cares on the grassroots because we already know what's going to go down. And speaking of Supreme Court nominees, Clarence Thomas. Yeah, she's Clarence Thomas with a lace front. And y'all hear Clarence Thomas, he went to the hospital. They said he had some kind of infection. Owen Cole brother said, no, he didn't get an infection. He was probably choking on butter biscuits.
Not by myself.
He got some butter biscuit crumbs in his windpipe, and they had to go do emergency butter biscuit removal surgery on him. Yeah, so we've already had a black Supreme Court justice. How has that worked for the last 30-something years with Clarence Thomas?
But what does this have to do with
we
Africa?
Already know this woman is zaddied up, so she ain't going to do
with
nothing.
Mama Africa being the problem.
In fact,
How is
she
this
went
Mama
against
Africa's fault?
A lawsuit that black people had against a corporation. So we know her get down. So we're not tripping on that. And we're not going for symbolic victories. We're trying to go for the tangibles. And because we're getting on code, talking about getting some tangibles, again, they're going to throw the black intellectual class at us and try to talk down on us. So now there's another reparations conference that's going to happen on an online conversation, and they're going to have people like Greg Carr in there. And people been kind of questioning Greg Carr. Now, Greg Carr is a professor over there at Howard University, very smart brother, but Greg Carr is a Democratic shill. Right? He's always on Roland show. He's one of those folks who's all clicked up with Roland and that crowd. And their job is they'll talk black and talk black history, but ultimately their job is to toe the line for the damn Democrats. All right. Their job is to toe the line for the Democrats for their own personal gain.
So I agree. This part is correct, but what is the argument? By the way, this week one an FBA ADOS supporter called me a pseudo intellectual because of my critique of reparations. One thing I always notice is that they never have an explanation of what. For instance, what does Greg Carr say? What did I say that is incorrect? And how is what you say an advance or an improvement demonstrably, that is, on the argument? So I agree with him on this in terms of Carr and Roland Martin largely. But as we showed in our exchange, there is substance in an analysis that maybe he'll get to that I laid out in my argument there. But again, I don't. But his and my response to that is very different. So he's going to say then that because they're Democratic shills, we should what? Go to the Republicans to get reparations? Is that the plan?
Gain, and that is a problem. Now, Greg Carr.
My bad. I thought that's what we were trying.
We've been looking
to
at some of his
bad.
tweets.
You're right.
And he's been talking down on foundational Black Americans, looking at ourselves as a group. His thing is, well, the United States of Africa concept is not new, nor has it been abandoned in recent years. I and countless others are firm supporters of the concept of the United States of Africa, that Pan-Africanism talk. The artificial lines that created a nation states is a central problem, leads to nativism that we have here. He's talking about us, looking at our native foundational Black American culture. So he's trying to, this is a bunch of word salad meant to throw salt at foundational Black Americans for looking at our foundational Black American heritage. Here's him again. Lineage arguments are nothing new. There's a thread of descendants of enslaved sentiments that is decidedly anti-immigrant. That isn't only in the US. And wherever it is, it undermines the type of political solidarity that has been the main factor in advocating or advancing African interests. Okay, let's stop that. Okay. So this is word salad that's being given to him from the white Democrats. Their whole thing is to accuse us of being anti-immigrant. Whenever we talk about looking out for ourselves, frame it as being anti-immigrant. That's why they always...
First of all, if anything, that is Dr. Carr softening a militant internationalist perspective to fit within something he could say and still be on Roland Martin's show. That's not something he would have gotten from the Democrats. So again, this is anti-historical.
Always send these tethers in our spaces. The minute we're talking about getting some tangibles, what do we see? Some tethers coming in the room. Hey, why do you niggas hate us so much? Why do you niggas hate us? Do you think we're taking your jobs?
Yeah, he did coin it, and that was part of the argument. I think a legal battle that he had. So
this is where that's coming from. That's coming from the
trademarking
top. That's a narrative that's being passed down.
So he created FBA.
Whenever we start talking about looking out for our own interests, they got word salad folks coming around talking about it's anti-immigrant. All right,
word salad
doesn't matter. Even if we are anti-immigrant, that doesn't stop us from being foundational Black Americans.
I told somebody on YouTube today who accused me of that. I said, but I am a vegan, so you might get a word salad. We're looking out for our own
group. And even if we are anti-immigrants, so the hell what? We don't owe nobody nothing. And what they like to do, they also like to say, well, y'all sound like white supremacists.
As Dr. Clark said, who he has in his intro, and I agree, African people are agreed. African people don't owe anybody anything, but that's not that wouldn't be the number one reason why an intelligent group or an intelligent person would want solidarity with another group, with immigrants. It's not because we owe them something. It's that it's tactically advantageous to work with other colonized people for your freedom. So that he's making this that's a straw
white supremacist talking point. Y'all talking about anti-immigrant. That sounds like the white supremacist. That's a Democratic shill talking point. That's another version of, well, y'all sound like Trump supporters. That sounds like some Trump then would say.
Yeah, that was almost as bad as Wesley Snipes'
it's a con
accent
game, guys.
And coming to
People
America
like Greg
too.
Carr, they know better, but they know they're towing the line for the Democrats, man. They know what they're doing. We got to watch these folks.
Pete Silberg.
That Boule, Ebony, Jet Essence crowd. All right. All right, and here's Greg Carr. I didn't see this response. I'm looking at some of this stuff in real time. Hold on. I asked, what political solidarity? That's a question that's answered by action. Political solidarity is more than a slogan. Ask most of the people you've interviewed for your documentaries, many who are my colleagues, elders and comrades. The vast majority of them
have
given their lives to solidarity work. This is word salad, Dr. Greg. That's word salad. You didn't answer anything.
But what about you answer the question about
solidarity.
the people you interviewed in your documentary?
Okay, the political solidarity is one-sided. Yeah, a lot of people in my films, they've done a lot to help out in Africa, myself included. Okay? Myself included.
But which one of them would support the FBA
to
analysis?
help people in Africa, myself included.
Which one?
The problem is it's not being reciprocated.
That's false
So
too.
in order for there to be political solidarity, it has to go both ways. It is not being reciprocated. Not only is it not being reciprocated,
which person he's interviewed
we are being
would agree with him
exploited
on
to a certain
FBA?
degree because now people got a sense of entitlement when they come among us. We've done so much for other groups. Now when they come around, it's like, hey, where's mine at? Where my stuff at? Okay, well then what about you? I ain't about to give you nothing. Oh, damn, what about land? Nigga, please. Nigga, land? Nigga, I laugh at you, nigga. They laugh at us when we say, can you do something for us? They laugh at us. But anything we do, they're just entitled not only to be a part of it.
For about a year,
it's so
Derulo
bad,
gave all
they're
of his
entitled to
interviews
first
to us
dibs. The minute we
from
get something going on, move, nigga,
Ghana.
move. I'm in front of the line, nigga, because I'm the
from
real
his land in
African.
Ghana.
It's that type of stuff. The disrespect is just so blatant right now. Man, we're like, man, hold on. Now we're saying, hey, we done enough. Now we're going to have to look out for the foundational Black Americans over here. No, it's time to look out for us now. And that's exactly what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what we're doing.
How so?
No? That's exactly what we're doing. I'm not into Wakandaism, family. I'm not going to sit up here and promote a false
a real
solidarity
Pan-Africanist
that we're just not having under the guise of the Mama Africa thing. Let's get on that Mama Africa thing here. Because what they try to do, they try to shame us. When we start looking out, and it's only us. They don't do that with Caribbeans. Caribbeans, they have their own culture, just like we do. But when they acknowledge their own culture, that's not a problem. Only us, when we acknowledge our culture, they want to get funny. Somebody in the room said Black has no standing in law. What has standing in law then? All right? Because y'all stop with all of the status correction arguments, which is word salad and Negro babble. All right? What non-white person has a standing in law that the white supremacists don't decide? You name them. What non-white person has a true standing in law that they can trump what the white supremacists say to them? Y'all stop playing this jailhouse babble. That's jail talk. All right? Y'all stop all of that status correction talk because that ain't it. That don't work. That's plebiscite talk. It don't work. Anybody sitting here talking that status correct, it's plebiscite talk. Don't work. It doesn't work. Well, Black, according to the Black's Law Dictionary, when you hear somebody say according to Black's Law Dictionary, it's plebiscite time. Or according to Black's Law Dictionary, the word black means dead, and dead by law.
But what does this have to do?
No rights. What other words you want to use?
What does this have
that's
to do?
Non-white. What standing in law does it have? No non-white people have a standing in law unless the white supremacists say they do.
This dude got 190,000 subscribers.
Throw a name out there that you can use that has a standing in law.
And this video has,
throw a name out there.
89,000 views.
Let's just get to the nitty gritty and stop talking plebiscite talk. Well, if we call ourselves this, then we'll have a standing in law. No, because long as you're trying to depend on the system of white supremacy, you're going to lose. This is why we as foundational Black Americans, we've designated ourselves under our own name, and we're not trying to get approval because we
Wait a minute. I'm gonna check this, and I'm happy to be corrected on this. But again, I thought he did specifically seek legal approval for the name FBA in response to not being able to trademark ADOS. Then the one claiming to not want to engage white supremacist system is saying we're going to abandon the Democrats and appeal to whom for reparations, from whom? Wow. Yo.
We have the maroon mindset. You understand? Understand what the Maroons were doing. This is why we've been talking about the Maroons. The Maroons, they weren't trying to live or coexist under the system that was designed by the white supremacists. They understood what the game was. They understood, hey, we're going to have to live autonomously. We're going to have to go out here for real, and get it on our own and live and build without them. This is why we do better when we're not around the white supremacists. This is why, like, for example, Tulsa was thriving. Why? Because the white
I know he's about to completely destroy the history in Tulsa, but remember, Maroons, it's a much more nuanced and complicated history. Maroons, some of them did make deals with the plantations. Some of them made deals with plantations and made agreements not to continue raiding them in exchange for being left alone on their own. Some of them made deals not to free other Africans in exchange for being left alone. Flip side, some of those Maroons ran off and linked up with people who are non-Black and non-foundationally Black and even white. So he doesn't know the history of the Dismal Swamp. He doesn't know the history of Nat Turner. He doesn't know, but his hip hop history is so bad. That's what should disqualify the whole
is over in Oklahoma. They just kind of pushed the Black folks over there. They didn't want anything to do with them. And y'all niggas just going over there. We don't want to see you. Whereas in the South, white folks and Black folks kind of lived somewhat in proximity with each other. But in Oklahoma, which was an Indian territory, basically, they didn't have formal slavery there. So they just said, y'all niggas just going over there, that Greenwood, Tulsa, Greenwood, Archer, y'all just go over there.
Please go watch
Black folks
Two
alone,
Blacks
and Black
work,
folks
the
started
Blackmas
circulating
podcast.
their money and building their money. Then the white folks
watch
woke
our
up one day and said, hey,
collaborations on this.
These niggas doing all these cars over here.
Because Tulsa,
these buildings, what's all these mansions doing over here?
Mess.
Oh no, we got to burn this.
This is way worse than this video.
You understand? So we, as foundational Black Americans, we do better without the white supremacists in our business. See, a lot of people with the status correction stuff, that's this thing where they want to cut a deal.
Where does this white supremacist not in our business stuff happen?
The crux of it, because the Islamized Moors, that's what they did during formal slavery. The people under the Moroccan conglomerate, they cut a deal with the United States. And part of the deal was if you enslave people, you go to Africa and enslave people, that's fine. But if you just happen to catch a few of ours, you got to let them go if they are part of the Moroccan Empire. And that's what happened. They had this little deal with the white supremacists. They weren't trying to stomp out a systematic oppression.
Lever action,
they were just
radical,
trying to get a little status.
No more.
That's not the right idea to have.
For Not By Myself.
That's not the right idea to have, ladies.
We can't do another one of these for a minute.
We got to replace the system of white supremacy with justice. Yeah, a lot of the Islamized Moors were trying to be like the damn Arabs. Let's keep it a buck. A lot of them made mistakes later on down the line. We got to be very honest about history.
Where's the specifics?
They were making mistakes trying to cut these little perverse deals with the white supremacists. Yeah.
Now that he might have gotten from Dr. Clark, because Dr. Clark did not mess with the Arabs.
He said treaties. Let's keep it a buck.
He said Islam is Arabism. So he might have gotten some of that, but not in relationship to the Moors.
Let's keep it a buck.
Who I believe Clark argued Africanized Islam. And gave Islam credit for what Africans were doing.
But this whole thing where we got to sit up here and we got to honor Mama Africa. Look, we got to understand this. The whole concept of Mama Africa. Look, we got to understand the mistakes that Mama Africa done made. Mama Africa was out here bedwenching with the white supremacists for a long time.
So who is he bedwenching with to get reparations? And where's he going to live?
The kids go. Mama Africa got the kids taken away. It's just like a crackhead. The relationship we have with Africa now is like a crackhead mother that neglected the kids because they wanted to run the streets and bedwench.
Oh my God.
And now that those kids that were neglected are doing well, now the crackhead mama
maybe an OG who never went to war.
Say, oh, my baby, now y'all don't forget I'm still your mama. It's that type of perverse relationship that y'all want to have with us now. now that we've dusted ourselves off, we've been through child services. Oh, yes, I'm doing this. I'm going there. Yes, I'm going there. Oh, it's going to hurt. Hurt. Let's go there. I'm going there. I'm going there. Yes, I'm going there. Because, see, y'all want to have this little perverse relationship with us now where you neglected us, the foundation of Black Americans. Mama Africa was out here bedwinching. And I'm going there. Yes, I'm going there. Mama Africa was on crack. Mama Africa was laying up with the European powers, having a perverse relationship with the European power, just like crackheads do. You fell off, neglected your kids, let your kids go into the system while you out here having fun with Zaddy and running the streets and getting smutted out.
Oh, he said Zaddy. So he's on
and
that.
Those kids you neglected.
What's my man?
Who you counted out, they dusted themselves off. They survived.
Kwame Brown.
And became something and became the face of Black people globally, started to become successful and the face of Black success.
Yeah, no wonder.
Because we survived such a traumatic experience, like a lot of Black children who go into the system do. A lot of Black folks who go into the system,
they
deal with the abuse and then they come out shining. That happens to a lot of Black folks. For example, the R&B producer Kashif, he was adopted. They had him in the adoptive system and he was abused as a kid. But while he was abused, he became a musical genius, one of the best producers out there.
Yeah, I hear you.
You put us through a system of abuse and you allow us to be abused. And then when we survive that and then thrive in spite of it and become stronger because we survived it, now the crackhead mama's coming around with her fur coat on.
I wouldn't describe
her
Black
little mangy
America as thriving.
Hey, now don't forget about your mama now. I'm still your mama. I'm still your mama now.
So is this real? But seriously, I'm downvoting on this too.
Relationship with you.
Is this all he's good? Does he have another
because
point
that's
to
the
make?
Relationship y'all want to have with us now.
Or is there going to be an
we
argument?
Didn't die off. We started doing better. We survived one of the greatest atrocities in recorded history.
Yeah, damn.
And now people look to us with inspiration or for inspiration.
Sure.
And now y'all want to come around wanting to claim us. It's just like these deadbeat fathers who sit there and neglect their kids, and all of a sudden their kids become huge basketball stars or football stars, and now the dad want to show up to the recruiting day. That's my boy right there. I knew he was gonna be something. I sure knew he was gonna be somebody. Your teeth missing, you neglected him, and now you want to show up to the damn NFL draft. No, sit your ass down. All right? Sit your ass down. Let's keep it a buck. We're not having no perverted relationship like that. And let me tell you something. When you neglect your kids, you get the same energy when you get older. When you neglect your kids, you get the same energy when you get older. See, Black folks, we got to get off this thing where we sit up here and you have kids and don't take care of your damn kids. This is a problem just throughout the Black world that we got to get over.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. Woo! You know what? I think we deserve a little fun before we get out of here, because there's really that was just atrocious. So, I did watch this one, but I had so much fun with it, and because it's a timely story. I'm gonna end with this one. We can have a little fun. Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible. So before we wrap up, I do want to appreciate everybody who came through tonight for this. Initially, members and patrons only, not by myself. Again, the point is to have a little bit of fun. Admittedly, I do enjoy this stuff, but to watch videos that. So this is my perspective on it. I think I'm inviting that we watch videos that have some sort of impact somewhere, but that are not safe or healthy to watch by yourself. That should only be done in collectives for moral and intellectual, even spiritual support. And I'm encouraging people just to engage in the Discord. The link is in the show description. And go to the Not By Myself channel and submit videos, maybe a little shorter. Maybe we get some shorter ones, but or timestamp sections, and then just let us know why you want us to watch it, and then we'll and again, we're setting this up because it's going to air live as a Monday morning show a week from this coming Monday. So in that regard, I appreciate the length, but I do want to end on this little bit of fun because I have to admit, I mentioned Abba and Preach earlier. I saw this earlier and I thought this is just too funny. So yeah, let's enjoy this right here.
So today we got T.I., rapper from Atlanta, going up on stage. It says T.I. goes off.
So real quick, if anybody, I'm sure people have already know who these cats are. They are diaspora Africans in Canada, and they are comedians. And they have a very popular YouTube channel, Abba and Preach. I don't watch that much because they do a lot of stuff I'm not interested in. But this story I was very interested in, and I thought it was hilarious and, somewhat, of value. But anyway, so that's just a little bit of the context here. And of course, they're talking about T.I. So anyway, here we go.
Off after a joke is made about the previous scandal of Weinsteining made against him. All right, so this is the video that initially came out. So there's this comedian on stage, apparently made an allusion to what had happened to him in the past. T.I. being in the crowd decided to lose his mind, and this is what happened.
Evidence, because there was no crime. There is nothing to charge me for. Or no, shut the fuck up for a second. Hey, listen, no.
We do.
I'm gonna check your mouth as long as it takes. When you stop talking about it, when you stop playing with me and mine, I'm gonna stop saying something. Ain't no motherfucking case, ain't never been no motherfucking case, because I ain't did nothing wrong, and my wife ain't did nothing wrong. And if you keep on playing with me, I'm gonna continue to confront you publicly, verbally.
Wow. Yeah, I can't find it either. I gotta find it again too. If anybody finds it, let me know. We definitely watch it.
T.I. is innocent. I truly believe that for him. There is no charge. I don't want to hear none of that. Don't play with me about that. I haven't put his Hey. Don't play with me about that. I'm not. The one thing I am is a comedian. I'm not playing with you. See, now you're getting misunderstood. This is not a rap battle. This is not that.
I just feel like this isn't what you want to do when you're trying to defend yourself against allegations of abusing women.
I'll make jokes about something. Absolutely. No, you're not going to tell me to shut the fuck up and my This is my Be very clear. This is my No way.
Like, why you all like?
So that's the incident in question. And so she explains the greater context of what had happened before.
So I'm going to explain this one time. This is about what happened at One Night Only at our bar on Edgewood with myself and T.I. T.I. came to the show. It's about over anyway. It's an open mic. He comes. He does like 30 minutes.
She's about to make Monique mad, though.
Okay. When you do an open mic, usually it's like 5 minutes. That's why she looked like that at the camera. If you do 30 minutes, no, usually we don't care who you are. You do 30 minutes, you're like, it's dragging. It's an open mic.
I disagree.
Go ahead. You disagree with what? What have I said?
The issue is not that he did 5 minutes to 30 minutes.
Disagree on what? I said nothing, nigga.
The issue is not that he did 30 minutes. The issue is that T.I. did 30 minutes.
Yeah, I understand.
So if a big name nigga comes through and want to do 30 minutes, people don't give a shit.
I just said that why she did look what she looked.
Because it's T.I. doing 30 minutes.
I'm not saying no, bro. I just said what happened and why she looked like that. Because most people don't know how long you take what was the problem, what was the look for. I just gave context. That's all I did.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is she's not having an issue with somebody coming to do 30 minutes specifically.
Yeah.
Is that T.I., who's been doing comedy for a year, is doing 30 minutes. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like if Dave Chappelle showed through, like niggas like it is what it is.
Yeah, but Dave Chappelle's been doing comedy. T.I., we don't know between y'all.
That's the issue. And
so
actually,
we don't.
A lot of people have had an issue with T.I. over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
the last 2-3 years because he started doing stand up, and because he got his name, it's kind of like when Stormy Daniels started doing stand up. A lot of people are like, this bitch sucks. We
Yeah.
y'all giving her
Stormy
30 minutes
Daniels
because of
was
the
doing
name.
stand-up.
And so she out here eating ass on stage because it's a spectacle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just that. I'm just saying that because you said I disagree. Bitch, with what? What have I said that?
If you play it back, what you had said is that normally comedians come to do 5 minutes. T.I. did 30.
That's what she has an issue. Yeah.
Okay.
No, she don't have an issue because it was T.I. doing.
It's fine.
Now, after he gets off stage, I'm going to the next. I'm hosting. I'm talking about marriage. He keeps cutting me off, telling me to shut the fuck up, calling me all kind of heckling me.
Okay. Problem number 2.
If you go to a show and you heckle, motherfucker.
Listen.
Yeah.
A heckle from the audience is one thing. Comedians need to shut the fuck up during the show.
You've seen promoters talk in the back. Shut your whore mouth.
Those are trash promoters.
Yes.
This is a comedian thing. It's like when someone's going through a set, they got a flow, they want to go with their jokes.
Yeah.
If you're a comic in the back trying to disrupt somebody, because when you come through it for a 5-minute set, you're trying to work through the stuff, the material. When someone heckles,
that's one
it
thing.
disrupts the flow. So you don't know if your jokes are working or not because you've kind of fucked up the whole thing.
Yeah.
A comedian doing that is worse because, bitch, you know what it is. So this motherfucker's in the back interrupting other comics after disrupting for 30. Garbage.
You just did 30 minutes and you're new at this.
Bro.
And then after that, you're going to go to the show. That's you. And you listen.
So I do appreciate the etiquette,
okay,
the
and
comedy,
you know how it is
the
to get hecklers.
the comedian etiquette.
You don't heckle nobody, whether you're on the show or not. If you touch the stage, you graze the stage, and if you graze the stage once in your life, okay, and you're a heckler, and we come to find out that you actually do stage, I've seen motherfuckers been barred from because of that. You're a comedian and you heckle, or you try to do this shit and you heckle.
T.I. is a straight up loser for some of this, bro. And that's the entitlement of like being a rap artist and then you come to stand up and you own everything.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, earn your stripes too.
Yeah.
Because you probably trash at stand up.
Yeah. And it's
not the same way if a stand up person wants to do rap.
Between 1997,
but because I have a big ass name, I'm not just go over everybody. Nah,
I stand on what I said. If you're a comedian, anything's up for jokes. Talk about me all day, and I've been laughing at some of it. Nothing's off limits. Nobody's special.
Stop. Third thing, if you're a comedian and you cannot take a joke, you know what? Fuck that. You're allowed not to take it. You're allowed not to take it. You're allowed to find some shit not funny. Interrupting a motherfucker while you do. Boy, if you don't get the fuck out of here, if you do not get the fuck, and then you monopolize the whole shit, bruh, you're out of place. You're out of place. This not your lane.
It's crazy.
You're out of place, bro.
You out here disrupting everybody else, and you get upset when you don't like what they say in retaliation. Brother, you instigated the whole fucking situation. You instigated that.
And you mad because
T.I. is a whole clown, bro. He's the same guy who went up after Godfrey did his headlining set and did 30 minutes.
Huh?
Godfrey went up and did a set in Atlanta.
In line steps
T.I. went
all
up
the
after him and did 30 minutes.
principles.
And Godfrey's like, why is this guy going up after me after I just headlined?
After he headlined?
Yay!
Nice.
And you guys might not know this, but like a headliner closes the show. People come to see the headliner. That's what they're excited for. Boom. Some random dude shows up and closes a headline weekend show. That's unheard of. Like in stand up, like that's crazy. You do that at open mic. Even Dave Chappelle won't do that. Some shit like that. To come up after the headliner, that's insane. But that's just the entitlement of some people. It's like, yo, get these people out. Like, again, people feel like because they feel some type of way, they're entitled to whatever they want. T.I. is a whole fucking clown for this. And the people who be getting up on stage, running up on comics because they don't like what they said are whole ass clowns too. Bro, I really feel like this shit's becoming more common.
Yeah, motherfuckers gonna start rolling on stage.
People have told folks that because you feel something, that means you're entitled to some kind of response.
I'm gonna tell you something,
bro.
Don't step on the stage. Don't step on the stage. Don't step on the stage of nobody.
And I don't know who's which.
Don't.
Who raised y'all?
But big man here,
sit your
I
ass
saw
down, shut the fuck up.
He called out.
And if you don't like the show, you know what you could do? 2 things. Shut the fuck up, or not a damn thing about it.
You can leave.
You can leave. You can leave.
That's 3.
You can leave. You either leave, you shut the fuck up, or you don't do a damn thing about it.
There you go.
But big man here called out the fresh and fit dudes
and T.I.,
for
you're really
talking
just doing
trash
this
about
because
his
you're
wife.
T.I.
And said he could fly down there and fight him.
But no.
Whole ass,
a whole ass clown. For this, it's clown behavior right there. You heckled the fucking whole show. You disrupt motherfuckers, and then you mad because people are retaliating. Man, if you don't get the fuck out of here, I ain't got nothing else to say but this.
Yeah.
Stupid.
He heckled and then she clapped back.
See?
And he got mad.
See?
I said I watched
Like,
this,
bro,
but I actually don't remember.
you
Do they
instigated
really
this.
not get to the point
That you
though?
want to get pissy about the response. You're a fucking loser.
Don't play with me. Don't play with. Shut up. Shut up.
But yeah, those I don't know. It's just, bro. Me, most comedians make me cringe so fucking hard with the way that they act at shows. Comics up on stage, these niggas talking in the back so loud the audience can hear them.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, be respectful to people on stage. I gotta tell comics to shut the fuck up.
Be respectful to motherfuckers.
I gotta tell comics to shut the fuck up because, bro, if somebody's on stage trying to work through their shit, you motherfucking heckle, that's crazy. Listen, if I'm running the show, you out. You booted 100%. You'll never be allowed in my show.
Did I make some shit up in my head?
I've booted people for much less.
I know.
What you talking about?
You heckle? You heckle?
Bruh. Even on a show I run, I would never make noise like that while a comedian's performing. Because I know, but you heckle and you yell some shit, and then you get up on stage, but they're not gonna ban this nigga because he's royalty on.
Oh, I would fuck. I would ban it. I wouldn't give a fuck.
You would never be allowed.
Yo, you can't come here, man. You can get the fuck out. Grab all your
Whole
shit,
ass
all your
clown,
goons.
bro.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. But a lot of venues don't respect comedy.
No,
it's just a vehicle for them to.
So
make
for
things
them,
funny.
this is about the comedy. Did I make this? Did they deal with this on another video?
We're throwing this fool out like a whole ass bum, but they won't hear. I don't know. To me, it's just I don't understand people.
Or maybe my memory is just
Let us know
trash.
what you guys
I
think
made
in the comments
something
below.
up
We
in
want
my
to
head.
hear from you.
Because I thought they at least raised the point. Oh, so they made it all about comedy. My bad. Or maybe they dealt with this somewhere else. Where was the question about, again, if what T.I. was saying was, you can't talk about these accusations that my wife and I suffer resulting from alleged sexual abuse, and then you aggressively interrupt a woman comic, and run up on stage and pretend you're hugging her so you can grab the mic and clearly intimidate her. Yo, that's not okay. So that to me was I appreciate the game on the comedy thing, but that to me was the bigger issue. You look crazy in terms of just comedy, but also you look crazy in terms of the defending yourself against these accusations with hostility or I don't know, intimidation or animus. Break up this woman's stage. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. You thought it was oh yeah. I just can't imagine that. Anyway, so. But I did want to end on a little bit of a lighter note, at least after the I guess because I don't know. I remembered the comedic part, but I thought they actually got to make the point about you're rolling up on a woman on stage when you're saying, don't accuse me of sexual abuse. I mean, if you, I don't know. I just feel like that's anyway. So, look, we made it through, good people. I will continue to compile the playlist. There are some other ones for a future segment of Not By Myself. Again, I really appreciate it. Again, a big shout out to Unmasking Imperialism and Brother Ramiro for unwittingly giving me this, and nobody stepped in. The security I saw gather, but I feel like security should have prevented anybody from getting up on stage. And as soon as he made physical contact, even in a faux hug to get the mic, and she didn't have any partners there, friends, loved ones. And security, I feel like should have definitely been up on the. Actually, I don't even know. Were they his security or for the club? I don't even know. But the club security, somebody should have not. That's yeah. But yeah, Yeah, no more Nasheed. Yeah, at least I need a break. That was horrific. Oh my God. Maybe. Or again, it could have been his security. I mean, looking at that video, I'm not really sure entirely whose security that was. He could have been there to say the guy I'm there to protect is now going into a less safe space. So I need to step up, or because if he's security for the club, he's definitely not doing his job and is starstruck. I feel like he's not doing his job. If she was, I don't know the woman, and I feel like he wasn't doing a job. If I knew her and cared about her, if you're not going to do the job, I had to do it myself. Apparently, yeah, you can't just roll up on. I mean, that was crazy. But I also do agree just with the comedy part. You can't roll up on people on stage. Let them say what they got to say. If you had just let her get off her little joke, this video wouldn't have gone anywhere. Anyway, probably. Anyway. But look, I really appreciate this. Again, shout out to Ramiro and Unmasking Imperialism for giving the idea, because there are videos that I would want to watch, but I literally would see them and think I want to see it, but I'm not going to do it by myself. So this is the only way I would do it. And plus it's a little bit of fun, and you know, get to give a little shout out to our members and patrons. So please, if you see this after it airs publicly, beyond that, become one. All right, everybody. Again, thanks for joining us on this special I Mix What I Like edition. And as Fred Hampton used to always say, to you we say peace, because we know you're willing to fight for it. And catch you next time. Please check out everything else on the channel. This has been great. I had a great time. Thanks again, everybody. Catch you next time. Peace.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.